Welcome to the Highlands and Islands, where we're connected to the land and sea around us. But this isn't the Highlands and Islands of the shortbread tin variety, big sweeping landscapes. This is the Highlands and Islands where we have bold, resourceful communities taking action to combat the climate emergency. Here we have diverse and thriving communities who are rooted in our culture and our traditions, but are also taking dynamic and forward-thinking approaches towards our future. The Highlands and Islands Climate Hub are here to support communities throughout our region to take bold and collective community-led climate action. This can be through various means, through us supporting with funding, supporting with practical skills, to most importantly, giving our communities a voice and empowering to share their voice and how they shape their communities of the future.
We're going on a journey across our region from Polycrub to Shetland to look at themes of climate action relating to power, reducing waste and food security.
But first, let's explore our relationship to land and sea and our connection to nature by visiting Golspie, who are already feeling the impacts of a changing climate.
Our aim is to put in a robust flood defence to protect as much of the main section of the village, houses and businesses, as is possible. And it's a project really led by the Community Council and the Development Trust, Go Golspie. It's already been identified as one of the top 10 areas of Scotland's coast that is most at risk of coastal flooding. And of those 10 areas, only 3 are populated, and Golspie is one of them. We have national infrastructure that runs through this village, so the main A9 trunk road that runs north to south. We have a railway line and obviously we have the NC 500 tourist route. You can see from these photographs, here's the railings in front of us, and this was taken during the storms, I think of 2014, 2015, and you can see exactly what the risk is for us. These waves and this spray, all the stones and the rocks will be thrown up almost as high as the roofs of these houses. And the damage that causes is enormous. The groins is looking like the most likely option. The old pier here is acting as a mega groin, and there's now a lovely beach developing behind it. That's a natural process. If we can recreate that further along the coastline, then we potentially got a recreational sea area. So rather than the village turning its back on the sea in a sense, we're almost embracing it as part of our environment and heritage. You know, if we can evidence that it's protecting the village against storm surge and wave damage, then there's a greater incentive for people to invest and live here. Just looking out on this vista is very, very special. And we jeopardise that at our peril, I think.
Based on risks posed in places like Golspie, it is now more important than ever to foster positive relationships with the land, the sea and the earth, which is exactly what Lurgan District Learning Centre have been doing with our recent exhibition in Rogart Mart.
Bringing Letters to the Earth to Rogart Mart meant that we were able to bring an international project to a rural location in the Highlands, and we wanted to bring it to somewhere that wasn't your typical arts venue so that we could engage with communities and provide learning opportunities for them to participate in the conversation as well. So I'll just walk you around the exhibition. We've brought in the local perspective, so there is a book that was created by Rogart Primary School about wild food, which links to our work on foraging.
We asked the pupils at the school to talk to their families and their neighbours about their experiences of wild food. So we talked about the colours of each season and what foods are available. Like even in January, you can be eating blaeberry jelly on toast or rosehip syrup.
We have a couple of sound installations, one focused on an oral biography of place of a croft in Sutherland, capturing all the different sounds over time, what's missing when we listen and what might not be here in the future.
So you would hear clip-clopping down past the house on his way to the village and on the way back.
We've had a school visiting this morning, the local primary school, and they've written their own letters to the earth. And actually these letters are so simple and direct and hard-hitting, and they're really emotional.
Dear Earth, to the whole entire earth and all the people on the earth, if you kill nature, animals will not survive, like cute wee bunnies and big stags.
We're Rogart Primary School and we have 22 children in our school. So because we're a small school, it's really exciting that we can come down to an exhibition like this, which is part of something much bigger. We know the exhibition is going to be happening in Canada as well. So that's really good for them to think about kids on the other side of the world, concerned about the same things that they are.
While the Letters to the Earth exhibition encouraged us to think about our relationship with nature, in Kyla Sutherland there's an inspirational new generation of young women that are taking how we connect with nature to the next level.
We are the Kyla Sutherland Development Trust and we were set up in 2011. We've evolved since, and one of our most recent projects is all about our natural assets here in the Kyla Sutherland, along with green health and connecting to nature. It's called Sutherland Girls on Boards. Sutherland Girls on Boards is a project that brings together the local community, those who identify as female, through paddle power, to ultimately strengthen themselves, to connect to the local community, connect to the local environment, and immerse themselves in that. As a group, we're heading out onto Loch Meadale today. We'll do some skill practice first, and then we're going to head sort of towards the wind direction, and that just allows us to float back down at the end when we've got less energy.
If you had your paddleboard yourself, you might not go out on your own, but having something like Girls on Boards, you all go out together and you plan for it and make time for it. I think that's brilliant.
I just also like the places you go. Everyone just goes to just local but beautiful places.
Yeah. Like tonight, it feels peaceful. There's this like beautiful silence. You just hear the water and your paddle going in and out. Just got this moment where you can just be like completely alone on the loch with some amazing friends.
Sutherland Girls on Boards has been developed by young people in this community. The idea is that over time, as those young people move on, people that we're currently teaching will be able to take that project on and take the admin, take that responsibility for their qualifications, for their training, to teach more people of the future.
Girls on Board have been so successful in increasing the accessibility of nature, but communities in the Highlands and Islands also have countless uses for the land and waters. On Rassie, they are harnessing the island's natural resources to create power.
Rassie Community Renewables is a community benefit company, and we were set up by the local development trust specifically to bring this hydro scheme project to life. The main goal is to generate an income for the community through the sale of the electricity. But looking into the future, what we would really love to do is look at how we can use the electricity generated locally. Can we give the electricity to locals at a discounted rate, because we pay a lot up in this part of the world for electricity. Our hydro schemes utilise two existing rivers on the island, the Inverarish burn, which we're at now, and the Mine burn. We extract some of the water, channel it down pipes which have been put under the ground all the way down to our turbine house at the bottom of the hill. As the water comes down the hill in the pipes, it gets fed into this turbine house behind me, and that's where the electricity is generated, and then it's exported up to the grid. I moved away for uni and came straight back home after I'd finished. I am very interested in all things energy related and sustainability related, and I really wanted to get involved in helping my local community. So the opportunity to be a director of Rassie Community Renewables came up, and I kind of just jumped on it. I think this project has really highlighted the power of community ownership. Community ownership of a renewable project generates 50 times the profit for the local community than just receiving the standard community benefit payment from larger wind farms, for example. Because we're selling electricity to the grid, that means that we're able to put all of our profits that we make from that into a community benefit fund. Rassie is almost like the ideal pilot project. You can implement a project for the whole of the island quite easily. We've got industry on the island, we've got the connection, so it's just somewhere that's really nice where you can try something out on a small scale and quite easily scale it up.
Whilst Rassie have increased the supply of renewable power, across in the Highland city of Inverness, there's a movement to empower the community to reduce the demand on power through active travel.
I am the CEO of Velocity Cafe and Bicycle Workshop, and I'm also the bicycle mayor of Inverness. So at Velocity, we have a cafe and a bicycle workshop, and we run a number of outreach projects. And then as bicycle mayor, my role is to really try and campaign to make Inverness a safer place for people to cycle. So Kirikul Mass is a big mass bike ride where we usually have between 80 and 120 adults and children. And the idea is that by cycling en masse in a big group, we can create that safe space for children to be on the bikes, on their roads in a really positive way.
As ever, we're delighted to see our regular families back again that support us, rain or shine. But it's lovely to see some new faces and some pretty little kids now on their balance bikes, getting out and feeling they can take to the road.
I was really gratified to see that we had so much support today, actually, because I know there is a tendency to hold up traffic, and that's part of the point that we're making, campaigning for space for the next generation.
We all see the occasional cyclist here and there, but when you see 100 or 200 at once, you suddenly realise that actually cycling is a viable way of getting out and about.
It's been really, really lovely to see a proper community of regular riders grow out of this. And every time I look at the footage of one of these rides, I'm like, I just wish those people were cycling on the streets all the time.
The theme of youth action is strong across the Highlands and Islands, particularly when it comes to reducing our waste. In Ullapool, a group of young people have come forwards to tackle marine waste and save our seas.
We are the Ullapool Sea Savers, a marine conservation charity run by kids for kids. We are based in Ullapool, at the heart of the Wester Ross Marine Protected Area.
Our main goal is to help the sea and inspire others to help the sea as well.
To get the plastic out of it and make it a better environment for the fish and stuff.
So we've done many campaigns, one of our biggest being the drain campaign.
The drain campaign is, the motto is all drains lead to the ocean, so you shouldn't really throw stuff away.
Cigarettes down the drains.
Yes, because just one little cigarette can pollute a whole litre of water and make that litre of water toxic to fish. Today we've decided to paint the drain with biodegradable chalk paint, and it says the sea starts here, please do not litter, because when people litter it washes into the drain and the drain leads it to the sea.
When I started, we used to walk around and there'll be just plastic bottles everywhere you went and rubbish. Because of us, I've not seen as much as how it used to be now.
And there's recycling for soft plastics and stuff now, so people use that more.
And it makes it just life better when it has that kind of stuff in it.
I've seen loads of differences. A few years ago, there used to be rubbish all along this beach, and now it's almost completely clean. And you can see a lot less cigarette butts on the floor and all that. I'm making a difference, and I can feel proud about that. There's people that could probably do a better job than me, but they're not, and I'm doing it the best as I can.
My message is to other young people is just to start doing something. Even if there's not a lot of people that listen, as long as you start, you're still making a difference.
At-scale approaches to reducing waste are ongoing throughout Highland through the work of the Highland Community Waste Partnership, which is led and driven by 8 community groups and coordinated by Keep Scotland Beautiful. One of those partners is Lochaber Environmental Group.
Lochaber Environmental Group are here to try and promote living sustainably as possible, making sure people are aware of their impacts on the environment. We're trying to very much identify and work with people to reduce consumption. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to go out and visit Green Fingers, local organisation that we work with.
Yeah, this is the Green Fingers project. It's probably been going about 15, 20 years. It's for, for learning disabilities, mental health, so it's going to cover the whole scope, and also people learning about the environment. As a workshop where we can actually recycle furniture. This was all recycled timber, and it's just, we're going to be thrown away. But they're all bits, but it's just basically a plant stand.
Right,
now,
okay, yeah.
This was made by a chap with a learning disability who's never used hand tools.
Whoa.
It's sort of instruction and a bit of time, eventually it made all this.
So that's great. So they're learning about that reduction in waste. Just because something's broken, it doesn't mean that you've got to throw it away.
We don't throw anything away.
Okay.
Because even like bits that are broken, we will keep them so that we can use to repair other bits.
Ah, right, okay. And next we'll go across to the bike kitchen so we can talk with the bike team about the work that they're doing to stop bikes going into landfill. Hi Chris, I've just come today to find out a little bit more about exactly what goes on in the bike kitchen.
So the bikes are donated rather than going to landfill. That's one of the key components, that we're keeping stuff out of landfill and creating a sort of circular economy. We're giving all these bikes a second life, hopefully.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit about the work that you do for people to be able to learn how to fix their bikes?
Yes, we run some workshops so people can sign up specifically to come and learn specific skills. We go out into the community and do Doctor Bike, where we do safety checks on bikes. And we also have people can come here and use all the tools we have. They would fix the bike themselves with my help, so I can talk them through. They can learn the skill.
So they learn what to do whilst
exactly,
This repurposing and ingenuity shown in Lochaber is a key feature of Highland and Island life. At the other end of the scale, and at the other end of our region, Polycrub, a leading community-run and managed social enterprise, embrace repurposing at the very start of their production line. In all corners of our region, the Polycrubs are being used to help communities grow food and increase food security.
We sell the Polycrub, which is a polytunnel that we developed for the Shetland climate. Here is where the Polycrub process begins. We utilise waste pipe for the salmon industry. The feed pipe gets renewed every few years, and so we use that pipe to create the hoop for the Polycrub. So we clean off all the barnacles and seaweed and mussels and everything off of the pipe, and then those pipes then come to our site ready to go out with the Polycrub kits. One of the things that the community was really interested in doing was growing food locally and reducing air miles. And we developed this sort of Shetland strength polytunnel for the community project. So they started selling in Shetland. And then people from Orkney were interested and they started selling there. And then the Western Isles, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we now employ 5 staff in North Maybing. All the profits for the Polycrub company go back into the community. And of course, in the last few years, we've probably diverted over 100 miles of this pipe for landfill. And also the benefit is that there's so many polycrubbers in Shetland that are able to grow their own fresh fruit and veg.
And so we were looking at what kind of firm buildings was out there to accommodate hens and that, and we had a conversation with Dee about the Polycrub. We really thought that would be the perfect answer to house and hens.
And now you have 11 polycrubs.
Yeah.
The other great thing about the Polycrub opals is that they're predator-proof.
That's right.
So the animals feel safe and their stress levels reduces.
That's right.
And we'll be coming up to our 4th winter now, and everything that's been built is still standing.
Can stand up to the Shetland weather.
That's it.
Yeah.
On the most northerly point of the mainland, Thurso, community growing has been done at scale through the social enterprise Socially Growing.
Our business is called Socially Growing, and it is a part of Thurso Community Development Trust. The greenhouses have been open about a year. We've got a fantastic team of people and volunteers who have done all this growing and produced all these amazing fruits.
It is definitely a gardening space, but it's really, really multifunctional. So we also use it as a place that people can come and get work experience if they're going back into work, or maybe they're just going through some part of story in their life and they need a bit of green and soil. So that's the sort of place it is. I guess our core or primary role is to make money to support the Development Trust. So we're always trying to be enterprising, but with a kind of ethic behind it.
This is our second Polycrub. We have another one in our community garden, and they are the most amazing resource. What's even better is that we know that it's not going to get damaged by the weather because it came from Shetland.
We're growing 8 different varieties of tomatoes, different varieties of cucumbers. We're trying to do microgreens and herbs for chefs. People are picking their own, like Meadow is just now, which is great.
These are some items that we're taking down to our retail shop, which is very close by, so things can get carried by hand or in a little wheelbarrow, and the shop can be topped up daily or even twice daily if required. This amazing bit of local produce has been locally baked. On the top are tomatoes which have come from the greenhouse. We're very lucky that we have got local suppliers who are supplying our shop, and I have to say items like this are just flying off the shelf.
We go out into around Caithness foraging for different plants and herbs and fruits, fungi, mushrooms, and then we make these things into various syrups, jams, preserves, chutneys, and then we sell them in social growing.
Food security is not just about sustainable local food systems. It is also about how we address community needs by stopping good food from going to waste and ensuring it is shared with all. Just a step across the water, Greener Orkney are doing just this with their community fridges.
The main goal of the work that we do here is to make sure that we don't waste food so that there's no food going into landfill. And we now have three community fridges. We have one in Kirkwall, one in Stromness, and one in the school in Doomby. So we pick up from the 4 co-ops in the evening. We also pick up sometimes, if they've got food, from Tesco, and also during the day we pick up from some local shops as well. These are our Monday night volunteers, and when the food arrives, it's weighed and we keep a record of it, and we publicise it on our webpage, Greener Orkney. So the total tonight is 104 kilos, which is quite a lot, really, for one night.
Orkney's a resourceful place. It's a place where folk are very good at looking after community, and this fits in absolutely perfectly. This means that things don't get wasted, that people in the community can get access to food that would otherwise end up in a container, be sailed to Shetland and put in an incinerator. You know, how bizarre. The secret of this is that it is for everybody. The food bank exists in Orkney, but this is a very different thing. And you can come in here, find ingredients, try things. So it's a kind of free taster opportunity to find out what you like and don't like. It's brilliant.
The feeling of community comes through. The other thing I think which has been very good is it's given us the ability to spread the message about climate change, and that you yourself can do something.
It has always inspired me and the team seeing the work of our members, and it is clear there is something very special about the Highlands and Islands when it comes to taking action against climate change.
Highlanders and Islanders have always looked after the planet. People have always made the most of the resources they have. They've also looked after the resources that they have in terms of the subsistence crofting, so only taking what you need from the land and giving back to the land, and I think that still happens today.
Due to the rural locations and smaller communities in the Highlands and Islands, we naturally have to take a circular economy approach to living. We're also much closer to the landscape and really aware of the work on renewable energy going on around us, and also things like coastal erosion and how weather impacts where we live, especially for those who work the land.
The people who live here and who've been born and brought up here have a much more visceral connection to the land. Things that may take a week to complete in a city environment may take a month up here. So very often we get on and just do it ourselves. That's a resilience that is really important, and therefore the Highlands and Islands demonstrates that in spades.
We can actually see what's happening within the Highlands and Islands. We can see the effect of the changes in the climate. It's such a stunning area. People holiday here such a lot because they love it, but if we don't all do some small steps, it won't be the same area in years to come.
Because we're right next to the sea, and it's a beautiful fishing town, so yeah, it's very important.
You can go out on the boat and
beach cleans and stuff.
Yeah, and if we were in a city, we wouldn't really be able to do that, and we're inspiring other people to do it in their town or village or city.
I think it's incumbent on us all to take action wherever we are, and Inverness is a brilliant city for cycling. It's small, you know, there's nowhere really that's more than half an hour's cycle from the town centre. I think we're in a really good place to make a really cyclable city.
So Highlands and Islands is a really special place for climate action because we have really unique connection to our community, especially here in the Isle of Shetland, and that enables us to be more sustainable in our actions for climate change.
I mean, I think if you look at climate change, I mean, it's obviously massively important to Orkney. However, since the late 50s, Orkney has also been a very important place for renewable energy.
I think we've got a really strong community ownership legacy in the Highlands and Islands, and I think when tackling climate change, it's going to make the transition a lot more just and fair.
We're lucky in that we have a lot of passionate people in this area, and we work here on the premise that we don't want one person to do a big change, we want everybody to make a small change, and hopefully we're encouraging everybody to do that.
Whether you're organising a beach clean, creating new renewable power infrastructure, or protecting your community against the impacts of climate change, we hope that we've shown you that there's no climate action too big or too small to be taken by our communities. To communities throughout our region, thank you. Your resilience, your commitment, your innovation are examples of what has set apart the Highlands and Northern Isles for centuries. We're now seeing our culture and traditions carried on by a new generation, where we're still connected to the land and the sea, but facing new challenges with a community spirit that still survives. To people elsewhere, next time you visit us or you think of us, look a little deeper than our landscapes and see the ambitious work carried out by our communities. Use it to inspire you and join us on this journey. By working together, we can create a resilient, thriving, climate-ready region.